The temperatures were rising in Durham and around these boys. The lacrosse season was shut down. The university was in the news every day. And Mike Nifong, the DA, was briefed by the Durham police investigator who told him that there were a number of weaknesses in this case, including that Mangum, the accuser, had made inconsistent statements to the cops and had changed her story several times. That there was another dancer named Kim Roberts present with her on the night in question at the party, and that she disputed Mangum's story, saying that she did not see a rape occur and suggesting that the accuser wanted it to appear as if she had been attacked, and saying that that the lacrosse players were disappointed in their striptease and that some racial slurs were used, but then they left without any assault taking place that she saw or knew of or heard Crystal Mangum complain of. Okay. Mike Nifong took that information and was not persuaded at all. It was pedal to the metal, and we played you some of his public statements about it. He told MSNBC on March 31st, 2006, that somebody had an arm around her like this, which she then had to struggle with in order to be able to breathe. What? This is the level of detail he was going into in the public arena, knowing nothing. We would later find out he had never even spoken to Crystal Mangum at this point. He's saying all this stuff. He'd never even spoken to her. What he'd spoken to, who he'd spoken to, were his detectives who were telling him there were massive problems with her case and her story's very inconsistent. And the woman who'd been with her who said, don't believe Crystal. He told a reporter with Rally News and Observer, I'm not going to let Durham's view in the minds of the world, you heard some of this, be a bunch of lacrosse players from Duke raping a black girl in Durham. Rush to judgment, anyone? The goal, again, to achieve justice, not a conviction. In early April, between the 7th and the 10th, 2006, there was DNA testing of the rape kit, which found DNA from up to 4 different males, not one of whom was a Duke lacrosse member. And the day that happened, the initial report said it was up to 5. The day that happened, I broke that news on Sean Hannity's show that night in primetime. And it was a huge development in the case. That now they had the DNA test back. There was, in fact, semen from multiple men inside of the accuser. And not one of those men was named Reed Seligman, Dave Evans, or Colin Finnerty, nor a player on the Duke lacrosse team at all. That is it, folks. That's ball game. And I had it dead to rights. I went out on the air that night and reported it, and it was huge news. Should have been over. Nifong should have ended his case the next day. That's what happened, in fact, was April 11th. He comes out and says to the news media, it doesn't mean nothing happened. It just means nothing was left behind. Okay. So she had sex with at least 4 men right around the time that she was allegedly gang raped. And the 3 now gang rapers who she wasn't able to identify on the first 2 passes of the photo lineup, which was already biased, took time to put on condoms that they just happened to have on their persons when they allegedly locked her in a bathroom, which, by the way, where she said she was raped orally, anally, and vaginally, and didn't get a mark on them, not a fingernail mark on them, nothing, and somehow managed to escape without leaving any DNA on her. This is what we were dealing with. It was becoming more and more obvious, and yet, by the way, the media held on. It's not like even at this point the media was like, she's a liar. No, they held on. If you go back and look at the reporting, the New York Times was among the worst to cover this. On April 17th, after that news, Nifong sought the indictments against Finnerty and Seligman for first-degree rape, first-degree sex offense, and kidnapping. And within a month, he indicted Dave Evans for the same. Unbelievable. After all I just said, this was mind-blowing. But the media was not reporting these details, and most in the public was not aware of these exonerating details. Dave Evans, at the indictment, the team captain, came out and made a brief statement. He hadn't spoken to any of the media. None of them had. I was there. And the part I remember the best, I don't think we have it in the soundbite, but was he looked at us and said, "I am innocent. You have all been told some fantastic lies." Watch.
These allegations are lies, fabricated, and they will be proven wrong.
It was as clear a statement of innocence as you could get. It was not, "I will not be found guilty," or "I deny these allegations," or "I would never." It was, "I am innocent. These are lies, and they'll be proven untrue." And every word of that was correct. Still, the media and this DA pushed forward. May 18th, 2006, Nifong handed over discovery materials to the defense, but they did not include any underlying data or information about the DNA testing and analysis. Did not include any documentation or information indicating the presence of DNA from multiple unidentified males on the rape kit items. Did not provide statements of any witnesses taken during the investigation. Nifong told the court the state is not aware of any additional material or information which may be exculpatory, meaning tending to prove innocence. October 27th, 2006, lawyers for the defendants finally determined that they were not given the results of the DNA tests. And in December, Nifong finally interviewed Crystal Mangum. December. This case started the previous March. We're coming up on a year now. When he finally did, he discovered that her story had changed. She was unable now to say whether she'd been raped at all. Did he drop the case? No. Let me give you a feeling of what else was happening. I was still down there, up and down between DC and Durham. And we figured out, thanks to our visit to these strip clubs, where Crystal Mangum lived. And so my team and I, the three of us, drove over there. It was in a not great neighborhood. We were a little scared. And a police officer actually stopped us when we got almost into the neighborhood and said, "What are you doing?" And we said, "We're looking for the accuser in the Duke case." And he said, "Don't go in this neighborhood." And he said, "It's not safe." But we did because we were chasing the story. What we knew is that she had a boyfriend named Matt and that she lived with him. So we expected that she was going to be in this home with Matt. And we saw these like serious looking dudes on the corner of this block and then the next block as we approached her house. And none of us wanted to mess with these dudes. And all I can remember is my producer, my photog, saying, "Hope that's not Matt." Hope that's not Matt. It was a crazy time. So we get there. And the plan was I would go up and ring the doorbell and they would, shoot the scene so that if she came out, we'd at least have her on camera. We might get lucky and get her to say something. And so I did ring the doorbell and rang the doorbell and rang the doorbell and no one came to the door. And as I'm standing there ringing the doorbell, a car comes out from behind the house that she's in and peels out. And we can see it's her. So my guys are like, "Let's go." So I run back into the van. It was like something out of a movie where we started moving before I was actually fully in the van. And we followed her. And we don't know what to do. We're like, we're not even sure if we should be doing this. We're not tabloid, but we do want to get, something with her on camera. And it would be great if we could actually have her speak into the microphone, give us 2 lines. Where's she going? That could be newsworthy, all of it. And we followed her for a short time, but we didn't know if this was the right thing to do. We were all very green. So we called back to the DC Bureau. And we said, "We've got the accuser. She's in our line of sight. She's in the car in front of us. And we're following her. But what should we do? What should we do?" And the desk, the guy who answered at the desk said, "Stand by. I've got to get Kim Hume involved." And so we're standing by as he asked Kim Hume what to do. And the feedback was, "Continue pursuit." And I'm like, "Continue pursuit." So we continued pursuit. And didn't quite know where it was going to lead. Well, it stopped at a red light. And we got out of the car and we had the camera and we're going up to get her on tape. I mean, look, this woman was presumed by everybody to be a rape victim, but she was not presumed to be a rape victim by us. We had serious doubts about whether she was telling the truth. These guys' pictures were all over everywhere. Their career as lacrosse players had already been brought to an unceremonious early end. And we did not think she was off limits. And so we went up to get her on camera, and she threw herself on the passenger side of her car and covered her head. And we said, we're out of here. That's too much for us. No, we're not going to do this anymore. And I think that was the right call. And I think chasing her initially was the right call too. But at some point as a reporter, your humanity kicks in and you say, let's do this, but we'll do it another way. So we got back into the van and we took off, and we were not able to find her again. And no one was. Now, I did track down her father, who told me, and I reported this exclusively on Fox News at the time, that she was claiming she'd been sodomized by these boys with a broomstick, which is just so absurd. You know, again, the woman who was with her doesn't even remember anything happening to her, but she was in a closet so long, in a bathroom so long with these guys. They were using other objects, but they had their condoms on so that no one would see, like, just the notion of it. And then it was dropped by another news outlet that she had accused other men of gang rape when she was 18. And now you see a clear profile of this woman coming out. But still, Naifang pressed forward. And still, the press was derelict in its duty. Eventually, the case was taken away from Mike Naifang. Eventually, what we had was an attorney general step in and take over this case. His name was Roy Cooper. He eventually became governor of the state, but he held a press conference in which he announced that he was dropping the charges against the three. They figured out that Naifang was a dishonest broker, that he hadn't handed over required discovery to the defense, including DNA results, and that this was an out-of-control rogue prosecutor and a miscarriage of justice. He stepped in and announced that these guys were not guilty and he was dropping the charges. Here's a bit of that.
The result of our review and investigation shows clearly that there is insufficient evidence to proceed on any of the charges. Today, we are filing notices of dismissal for all charges against Reed Seligman, Colin Finnerty, and David Evans. The result is that these cases are over and no more criminal proceedings will occur. We believe that these cases were the result of a tragic rush to accuse and a failure to verify serious allegations. Based on the significant inconsistencies between the evidence and the various accounts given by the accusing witness, we believe these three individuals are innocent of these charges.
Guy, I got a chill just listening to that. Actually brings up like an emotion for me. They'd been put through hell. I remember Reed Seligman had receipts second by second for where he'd been that night, showing that he could not possibly have committed this crime. And she made a mistake in picking him because like he really had an alibi. Still, they put him through this same hell that they put the other two through. And their parents absolutely batshit crazy over what was being done to their boys. And yet no one giving them a fair shake, not the DA, not the media, no one, almost no one. That was an extraordinary day when finally someone of reason took over. And Dave Evans spoke out on April 11th, that same day, 2007. Listen.
My parents and my sister, Lord knows I've put them to hell and back, and their support has let me remember and stay true to who I am in the face of tremendous scrutiny, speculation, and outright fantastic lies. I could never imagine what they've gone through. I was indicted the day after my graduation. As difficult as that weekend was, finding out on Friday before I was indicted on Monday, I reached a pass in my life where I could take some time off. I still worked through it. I didn't want to have idle hands. But these boys were ripped out of school. The team that they loved, their friends, everything they'd ever worked for, based on lies. It's painful to remember what we went through in those first days, and it's just a testament to all of our character that we never lashed out. We stood there strong. If you want to know what character is, walk around your campus and see signs with your photo all over and wanted signs, and have people in the media relating you to Hitler and other terrible people from history when you've done nothing wrong. That is character. Just sit there and take that, as the young men at the Duke University Men's Lacrosse team did. Innocent people can be charged of a crime, and it is up to the justice system to determine guilt or innocence, not the news, not speculators, and not people with some other agenda.
Well said, Dave Evans. Just an example in class, fortitude, and character. For those of us who have been holding our breath for the past several months, waiting for this election, we can finally exhale. Work can now be done on the major issues this country's facing, one of the most significant being our national debt. The fact is our nation's broke, and that debt is a house of cards that cannot be quickly dismantled. So the strategy for you probably remains the same when it comes to your investments. You might want to diversify your savings. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control, out of our president's control, so it can be important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. And the best news is it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Text MK to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold. Plus, right now you will receive a free 1-ounce silver eagle for every $5,000 purchased. Protect your savings with Birch Gold and text MK to 989898 to claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.